Hi guys, I'm Tri Gutierrez of Tier 1 Entertainment, and here with me are some of my friends and co-workers as well. I'll introduce them to you later, but I think more about the Beyond the Gaming podcast. I think by now I've already uploaded the Web3 content. I'm sure that's going to be very controversial. Yeah, but that's just how it is. I think as we venture into new things, generally a lot of people are going to be questioning, commenting, or whatever, like I don't know what the sentiment is going to be, but generally I think my objective for this podcast specifically is to kind of like create a platform that really gives a better view of like my mindset, the people around me, and specifically for this episode, hopefully this breaks the romanticized idea that I'm the king of Tier 1 entertainment.
Wait,
that's
aren't
not,
you?
Because that's not how it goes, for one. I mean, it's just more of like putting some faces in terms of like who are running this company. And today we're with I guess let me do the rounds, no? So by the way, I brought some cheap wines with me. If you
I'm hoping that we get a sponsor.
no, just because I didn't want it to be kind of like a formal podcast-ish. I like the vibe with the Haji, Bonchan, and Eson thing because we were doing something, diba?
Right.
So at least with this one, we get to drink, or I mean, I'm not gonna force you to drink, but whatever. Maybe that's just my excuse to drink. I don't know. But anyway.
I think I need something more expensive.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Okay, so sige guys, we'll be back. I'm kidding. Anyway, so sige, let's proceed with the introduction. So, let me start with Brian first, I guess. So you've seen him in the podcast with Wolf. Yeah, like introduce yourself, what you do in the company. I guess like let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. I'm the head of sales, so Trike, in the topic of doing unilateral decisions, he asks me if we can sell it. He has an idea, and then he would ask me if we can sell it. So I head the sales team. What I do is primarily bring in revenue to Tier 1 across across our portfolio of business, in events, esports, creators, and different other IPs.
Yeah, so here we have Vern.
Hey guys, I'm Vern, VP for brand development. Essentially, that's marketing.
Speak louder.
A little bit of marketing, a little bit of overall, driving the direction of the brand for Tier 1 and all of our IPs. And I work with all of these guys very closely. That's basically what I do.
Dex.
Hi, my name's Dexter. I'm the director for creative services. So I'm here if you like what you see, in and within, and in and without, in and out of Tier 1. That really doesn't just fall on me, it falls with my team. We have a very skilled team here, and I'm very proud to work for them. Especially if you have someone like Trike, who's very creative and tells you, he just works really, really fast and keeps it exciting for us. And yeah,
very
thanks for
exciting.
inviting us. Thanks for inviting us, Strike, to your pod. And I work a lot with Vern.
Yeah, so I guess like let's start with this like question, because I think this was something that was shared in one of my vlogs, but I think this is a better platform for this. So what was your first day in Tier 1 like generally, or why did you join Tier 1 Entertainment? I guess let's just kind of like share that story to the audience so that at least it's a bit more humanized. Let's not make it too formal, right?
Let's start
And
with
we can
Vern,
start
'cause
pouring. We can start pouring like wine if you want to drink or
Vern
whatnot.
has been here the longest amongst us
So
three, right?
So what year did you?
I started. I just came in 2023.
2023 for Bright 2020
yes.
for
2019.
19. So let's start
Or
with you
18,
then.
sorry, 18.
Let's start with you then, because you're the oldest in the group in terms of like being in the company, right?
I think so. Also in age,
Why do you
right?
need wine for telling the story?
No, because my
It seems like it's been so long.
it has been long. It has been a long time.
Yeah.
But Trike, I don't know if you're really asking me like my first day in Tier 1.
No. Let's start with the question first of like why did you go to Tier 1, and probably like yeah, the first day or like the interview. I don't know. Just
I
just
do have
share
a
some
story.
Yeah,
Story.
dude, let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
shoot the shit.
I do have a story about the second day. So
Yeah, second day,
the second day
because
was
the first
very-
day we weren't doing anything.
yeah, we weren't doing anything. So what
So let's move to the second day then.
okay, we could go. Okay, so here's the thing. When I joined Tier 1, a little backstory. The reason why I joined, Trike, I interviewed with Trike. I don't know if you remember this. We were still at High Grounds, and then you.
Yeah,
gave-
I was in our office,
Yes,
like the
yeah.
small one with the noisy air condition.
Yeah, the
I
thing
remember
rattles. Anyways, so like he pitched to me the my position. I think it was like at the time it was like kind of undecided exactly what my title was, but I had the understanding I'll be running, the Amplify program. I don't know if it was Amplify back then. I think it was just a program still, and then. I'll be.
No, it wasn't called Amplify.
Yeah, it wasn't called Amplify yet, but it was basically like a creator program where we help scout, develop, and essentially grow our creators onto like a platform, namely, at that time it was Facebook. I don't know. We could say that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it was Facebook. So we were able to grow that program very quickly in the first year. So when he pitched me that idea, that was like I was super interested in that, and I immediately once they gave me the offer, I said yes. So when I came in, the first day, nothing happened. I think because
I like the honesty,
no,
Vern.
no, because like I remember walking in, I didn't know who like who do I report to? Because it was very, very, as much as it is, we like to say startup now. It was very startup then.
Super duper
Everyone,
startup.
like I don't know. Did we have like an HR?
No, we
Nope.
didn't have an HR.
We didn't have
was
an.
just
It was like
me.
HR and operations were like the same thing. You know
I
what
was
I mean? Yes,
Yeah.
sales was doing everything. I was just kind of like I don't know, am I sales or like I had no one under me, no one above me necessarily. So I was just getting to know people. So that was boring. Second day, we actually had Trike. I don't know if you remember that we had our first IRL the second day.
The second day, where?
It was in Game Over.
Okay.
In I forget where. But
Yeah, in Katipunan.
Katipunan, yeah.
Katipunan.
So like it was our second day, and it was our very first IRL, and the whole point of that party was essentially we just wanted to throw an event to invite everyone to come in to scout. For us, it was really to scout to see.
Was this the one with like all the top influencers
This
and
was
stuff?
everyone.
Yeah,
was
everyone.
There.
It was everyone.
Everyone was there.
I remember.
Yeah. So my second day, and like this is my second day there, and we were throwing this event, and like I haven't even met these influencers yet, right? But I think I don't remember what. I think I was feeling a little sick, but I didn't want to be like a KJ that day, right? So I think it was Job. I was like, come on, let's just have a few drinks, and like my second day, I don't know the people, I don't know the company, so like at that time I could get kind of wild when I drink. I drink a lot. I was like, no, I'm okay. But he was, I think Jabba was like, come on, just one drink, because I already had met Jabba, and like he seemed to. I was like, all right, I'll take a drink.
He was still in sales.
He was still
back
in
then.
sales. And then I remember I asked you, Trike, what do I have to do this? He's like, no, nothing. Just meet people. I was like, I don't got to do anything. No, you don't got to do anything. So I was like, okay. So I started drinking. And I started like having a good time. I was meeting people, and I was getting pretty. I was feeling good. Let's say that I was feeling pretty good. And then the I think you started doing a speech in front of the whole thing. You kind of like it wasn't really there was no like agenda for that day, but you went up and started talking about why we're here, why we're gathering, and then.
I introduced you.
And he introduced me. And I was drunk. And you said, oh, no, you don't got to talk. No. And he was like, and then I'd like to bring up Vern Bautista, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the? So I go up there. I'm a little drunk. And I was like, I think this is what I said. This is legit what I said. I remember I didn't know because I couldn't describe the program because it's my second day. I was just like, hey, guys, nice to meet y'all. If you guys want to talk to me, just find me. Like, we could talk more because I didn't know what to say. Just find me, right? So I think I was like not even 1 minute, right? So I was like, ooh, okay, I dodged the bullet there. So I started drinking some more, but then everyone started following.
I thought that was a punchline.
Everyone started following me, like, oh, I have so many questions. I was like, oh man, how about we drink? So like I think it was like early on. Yeah, dude. So I
It's because you came in, nobody knew about you. that,
No one
that
knew
you were
me.
going to be leading the program.
Yeah.
And then once I started introducing you, like people started.
Just gravitating towards me. And like I was at that time, I was really drunk because everyone who came up to me, like oh, I don't know why they were already some people were already calling me Boss Vern. I hadn't even really earned. Like, you know, they were like, oh, like let's just take a shot. And I'm like, okay. Like I mean, I keep drinking. And then like they would, oh, so what is this program? I'm like, yo, you know, like, why don't let me get your email. Let me get here, add me on Facebook. We'll talk about it. Let's just enjoy tonight. So like, it's funny because I remember, especially a lot of our earlier batch 1, batch 2 talents that we brought into Amplify. I remember them from that night.
Yes.
And even what's funny is I even remember some like, you know, some of the people I met that night even became like tier 1 employees. And I remember meeting them all. Even though I was having too much of a good time. But like I really dodged the bullet because I couldn't really describe exactly what I'm supposed to do or how I'm going to run this program or like, you know, it was legit my second day.
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, I guess that's kind of like the reality in terms of like the difference in our perspective way back to like where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we've been telling this story a lot, you know, like to the people who have just arrived in tier 1 that in 2018, from what I remember, we were just throwing parties
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, like onboarding streamers and we were already like good.
Yeah.
You know, like in terms of business, just because it was a different time.
The
you know?
standards were different.
The standards were different. The expectations were different. You're just a small company onboarding live streamers in different streaming platforms. That was like kind of like the job. And, you know, like now that I'm kind of like looking back in 2018, I think nobody really expected what a talent management in gaming and esports would be like. So like, initially what we wanted, I will still remember my pitch in LA to this day. My pitch was we would only take care of 24 talents. and then the investor said, "Why 24?" Oh, we just feel like it's a good number. No, because
I was in LA, Kobe.
I don't know if it was because of Kobe or whatnot, but I really just said 24. And it was in the deck. It was real.
Okay.
Just because I felt like it
Good.
was the right number where we can still manage, you know, like the personalities and the deal flows and everything.
No, there was no ratio to that though.
Yeah, there was no ratio to that.
Yeah.
It was purely Kobe. And I was in LA. Well, anyway, like that worked. But what I'm saying here is that when Tier 1 was created, it was really meant to only support a few. And then a lot of opportunities came in and we ended up supporting what? 100, 200?
yeah, we were at 24 by month 2.
And
maybe.
then by like 4 months we had like 98, you know, like streamers coming in into our program in Amplify. And then the year after that, I think we went to 300 plus.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess I think everything about what Vern said is true, and I think that's in a story form. But from my perspective, it was really you created and pitched for this, and then it ended up becoming something else because apparently we needed to support more people. And then we kind of like wanted to create a different name for that because Tier 1 was meant for the 24.
Right.
So we needed to create another name for the rest because we weren't sure if we could curate, you know, like 100 plus talents and making sure that they are really top tier. Right? So obviously like when you're starting out, when you're just new in the industry, you can't just develop and get to that level of like, you know, like the top talents that we have.
Yeah.
So given that, we needed to create an incubator program, which we eventually became Amplify.
Yes, the incubator
Right.
program. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I have another, you know, like my side of the story with Vern. So that if that's Vern's story. My side of the story was Marco came to me and then he was like, you know, like I know that you're gonna create like an incubator program or a program of some sort, and he asked me like, what do you need? I feel like I need someone who can speak well so that he can, you know, like represent the brand per se. You know, like the program has to be him or her was kind of like what I said. And I also said like he also needs to be someone who can interact well with creators because it's gonna be the main thing. And then it would be nice if he is an adult because we're all fucking kids. I'm sorry for my French, but because we were all kids like back then, so we were young, like we were really really young, like you know, like running this company and all that, and then he came to me and he was like, I found an adult.
Which is funny because when I asked Marco what's this position for, he's like, I don't know, but we need an adult. And it was funny because like, so like when I went to the interview, Trike, I don't know if you remember this. I was like, I'll show you an adult. I brought my kid to the interview. But at the same time,
That was the most adult thing.
I was like, you want to see an adult? I'll bring my kid to the interview. But it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to flex out a kid. It was more so like, oh wait, I gotta go to the thing, but no one could watch her. I'm like, that's pretty adult, I gotta take care of my kid.
I got real problems here. I got real problems, man.
Yeah. So I brought my kid to the interview.
Smart.
It's funny because it's so easy. Like the times were so easy. It was just fun. It was just it's really true. Like I think it was really more of a project kind of like versus like a company. Honestly, when it felt kind of like that back then. I think the time I felt that it became really serious was when I got, like my former mentor, Ma'am Joanne, right?
Yeah.
Because like Ma'am Joanne came from Inquirer. She became our VP and then CMO. We met before in Inquirer because we launched esports.inquirer.net together. And then she came in and she was like, guys, what's this? And then, like that's kind of like when I started leveling up as a CEO. Like she taught me a lot of how to create proper corporate structures and things like that. I mean, I knew it from my academic, like experience, but I think she really brought the structural mind in me and the corporate side of things too. And then on that note, she brought you.
Yep.
So
Yep. She
then
brought
to
me
your
in.
story. Then to your story.
Okay, so I think around 2019, she and I saw each other at a Globe party. So
Globe, like Globe.
yeah, Globe, a Globe,
The telco.
Yeah, a Globe partners party. I think this was at a club beside Silo. I forget what it's called now, but we saw each other there. So I was home for the holidays at the time. I went to that party because we were I was still in one championship, and we were invited to that. So we, instead of our athletes going, I think we went on their behalf. Some of myself and as well as a couple of other commercial guys in one went to that party. So I saw her with Ariel. I think Ariel went to that party with her. And then she introduced me to Ariel, and then we caught up a little bit, like what she was doing, and she was now with Tier 1. So a little bit of background with Joanne and I. She was my supplier, she was my vendor back when I was in Group M.
So Group M is an agency.
Ad agency,
An
yes,
ad
yes,
agency.
yes. So a while, and then she and I kind of built this friendship because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but you're not supposed to veer outside of the supplier list normally. That's not accredited with the agency.
That's just normal. That's just
also with
protocol.
us.
That's
Yeah,
just
protocol,
protocol.
even
That's
with
just
us,
protocol.
right?
Yeah, that's just protocol.
But she was not accredited in the Group M. So, but she had a very, very good platform. When I saw it, I was like, let me test this out. And I ended up winning an award for that, an industry award for that campaign when I tested out her platform. And from there, we kind of built that friendship. So we caught up in that party. And then she asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm still, at the time I was with the regional team of one championship already. So I was looking after Myanmar in the Philippines and for partnerships. And then COVID happened. So COVID then happened. I was stuck in the Philippines instead of normally going around where our events are. And then she calls me. She was like, hey, seriously, what are you doing now? Like, are you thinking of moving full-time back home here in the Philippines and seeing if there's an opportunity to join the team? Because I think you guys were hiring for a commercial director at the time.
Yes.
So, because you only had Julia and John.
Yes.
Yes, for as the commercial directors. And you guys didn't really have a non-endemic kind of partnerships guy.
Yeah, because just to shed some light in terms of that time of Tier 1, it was more of we were dealing. Facebook was our biggest client, and then eventually all of these gaming partners became the next clients because we had a pool of gaming creators already. But the thinking was we needed to create a commercial arm that would get other brands outside of gaming. That's why we got Ma'am Joanne, and then eventually she got you.
Yes. So she told me what the role was. At the time, I was looking to moving to a platform. I was looking to move to Google at the time. So I was, if I were to move in and move back here full time, I was gonna move back to a more corporate structure because one was a very startup pace I was at one very early days, so I spent about 4 years there, and I saw it. I was thinking, do I still want to go back to the startup grind or go back to corporate?
Kasi it has two different,
Culture. Two
Yeah.
different
cultures. Two different
really
cultures.
two different companies.
And two different companies.
Yeah. Two different cultures and two different ways of working. Really, really different. So, I was really leaning towards moving to Google, but Joanne told me, just have a meeting with Trike. And then, at a meeting with Trike, he was late. Typical. At the time, when he was still learning his corporate habits, he was late to the meeting. So, syempre, this was already online, diba? When we were trying to figure out Zoom.
Yes.
So I had a call with Trike, and then he was talking about tier 1 and what the vision was. And even when I was in one, because one invested in esports in 2019, so he kind of moved into esports around the year prior to me moving to tier 1. So I kind of knew who tier 1 was, but I knew Alodia. I didn't know of Trike. When you hear of tier 1 at that time, it was only Alodia that you would know of. So I kind of know na, okay, tier 1 is, I didn't know it was a small company, to be honest. That's how good your marketing was. I thought it was a pretty big company.
We were like 25 people back then. It felt like you had 100 people.
Exactly. You thought it was already kind of a big enterprise. Because the marketing around tier 1 was, it's this next big thing or whatever, right? And then so Trike tells me the vision and so on. And then he ends with this. He was like, very impressed with your career, and if you join us, we will go very far. I think you having you with us, I think we will go very far. But if this is it, I hope we see each other in the future and we help each other out. I was like, puta sexy. And that sexy indifference of Tech was like, dude, this guy doesn't want me. This guy.
Got him.
You're up against Google, motherfucker. And this guy says that. I was like, alright.
That did it for you, huh?
That did it for me.
I guess it worked. Huh?
It worked.
Just walk away cold like that. Just walking away super cold. Like, it's cool, man. It's cool.
It's cool.
Whatever.
If you don't join, it's fine, man. I see. So I was like, this fucking dude. So I was like, I called you. I was like, very impressed with Drake. Yeah, I think I'm on board.
And you know what's funny? After that call? Tin, the recruiter, because we had an HR back then. And Tin and I are really good at, like this. Like, we believe it's like a recruitment dance, especially with like really good candidates.
Oh, man.
And she was like, what do we do with Brian? I'm like, wait for 3 days.
You waited like a week.
She over-executed. She over-executed it.
I even followed up. I was like, what's up, man?
You got him good. Because I know that for people who are really good, right? They don't want to be chased. Because if you chase them, they'll feel like I'm too good for you. You'll have that kind of like vibe, right? So with that being said, I told her specifically to wait for at least 3 days before sending out an offer. But she over-executed it. Apparently, it was a week.
Yeah, she did a trike. Just late with the
So we were very aligned in our recruitment process.
So she did that, and then, obviously the thing in my mind, I was thinking, no, I'm not. If I go to tier 1, I'm still part of the game.
Yes.
Because if you go to a big company again, and you'd get lost in like being a cog. So that's kind of how I felt at the time. So I decided to join, and then the first day, I think we decided to retrench. No.
No, not retrench. Change the payment of everyone because it was the COVID hit.
Yeah, COVID hit.
COVID
So I
hit.
joined. And then
And then we needed to change we needed to furlough, like some
Yes.
people because of the pandemic. It's
So
so bad.
immediately when I joined, are you okay with 50% your salary? I was like, yeah, well, sure. Okay. I'm already here. I signed the offer sheet. So we
Anything for
did
the
that.
team.
But I understood. I think when Trike mentioned like I think it was one of our meetings when you said pain is easier to manage when it's shared. I think that's where we all, even if I was new to the company, I understood.
Yeah, because when we looked into, so what ended up happening during the pandemic was no revenue was coming in into tier one because no brands were paying for anything, just because they were prioritizing the logistical requirements of the transition into the pandemic. So the finance teams weren't there and all that. And though you have a lot of like companies that can last 12 months in terms of their runway, like if you have zero revenue, that's something that you never account for.
That's right.
Right?
That's
And with
right.
that being said, our option was to reduce cost via furlough and remove, like X amount of people. And I still remember it to this day when Tin recommended to me and said, you know what, even if we remove like 20, 30 people, we would still lose what we have. Why can't we just share the pain? Like we all lessen all of our salaries as executives, as people, as generally, and then we can help the company, like prolong its
Wow.
operations the next months. And then I just agreed to that, and I kind of like sold the idea of sharing the pain to everyone, because if they don't agree to it, then it meant losing other people in the company, which
Heard.
was like very important.
Heard.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was
And-
like a brilliant recommendation and a move that we did during the pandemic.
Yeah, and I love how kind of we positioned it because everybody bought in. I mean, we were small. I think we were like 50 people during that time. So that again, going back to, I thought it was a big company. When I entered, it was just about 50 people. It was really small. But it seemed like it was a very, because I was used to, like, in a startup setting, you're normally at a loss. It's capital gains, right? So you're normally operating at a loss year on year. But then when I entered, I looked at the deal volume that was on the table for tier
We were
one.
profitable.
I was like, what the fuck? It's like, this is not a startup. This is a good business. Like, it was a really good business. And I saw the deal volume, and to me it was, damn, okay, what's needed here is people are just not waking up at 9 a.m. So,
It's that simple.
it's just it's that simple. So they just didn't have like really good corporate habits yet. So when I entered, I was like, that was one of the things that I implemented. I know my team hated me for it because I was doing 9 a.m. meetings.
It was year 3, basically. So I guess with that being said, right, like I think it was a different time. Just to take a step back, for some people, they don't really know what a startup is kasi.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest issue.
Yes.
Like when people talk about startups, they think that it's a company that's just starting out. But the thing is, startups mean that they are a venture-backed company that are built for capital gains.
Correct.
So capital gains mean that you start at a certain valuation on a seed round, and then you need to have a higher valuation by Series A, and then B and C, and then eventually exit via an acquisition or an IPO, right? So what matters is you just grow and grow and grow in terms of revenue, market share,
Profitability
wingspan,
is not
profitability. I mean, whatever currency, because lately it's been profitability.
Yes, but before it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
The currency of before was just growth in terms of gross
Valuation.
revenue,
Yeah.
multipliers into depending on the industry and all that, right? But Tier 1 was profitable already
Exactly,
in
when I
2018 and 19.
Yeah.
So in a way, even our investors were like, like you're sitting on liquidity, you just pace yourself and try to figure out things, like slowly because you're comfortable.
Yep.
So that's why we're not also like your typical VC-backed company that requires multiple funding rounds just because of the liquidity that we've experienced in the past, right?
Yeah, because I think when I entered, you just came off of your seed round. That was it.
Yes.
Oh,
But
all right.
even like, and it seemed like a very profitable venture at that point.
Yes.
Like, I was wondering, like, oh, you've been operating for like, that was third year when I entered. You haven't raised your pre-A yet or
No,
Series
no,
A.
no.
So I was like, whoa, like it's a pretty good business.
So I guess it was the perfect business model because it was like it happened. We built it before the streaming boom happened.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think when the streaming boom came in, and the pandemic also helped just because of the whole digitization of the world,
Yep.
people got into games. And I think that's also the challenge that we're facing right now because after that pandemic and that digital boom, everybody was so digitized or was in the digital world that today they actually don't want to be in it already. They want to go out. They want experiences. They want to be in the real world. And I think there is a market correction that's happening around us in terms of consumer behavior, and a lot of the things are changing. So with that being said, I think to Dex, where he came in on the later part of the business.
I did. So
What was your story like coming in? What was your perception? He came from ABS-CBN, by the way.
no, that's ABS, part of my life. But basically, how did I get in? Basically, I just got tired from another startup that I was working on in the States. Very corporate, very. It was a SaaS company, and this was after loeving. Like our whole team was let go from ABS because of the pandemic and all that.
And
I didn't
loss of the
necessarily-
franchise.
Yeah, loss of the franchise also. I just felt like, I interviewed Alodia back then, 2017, when I was doing something for Netflix. And she was very kind to say, I'm starting this small business. It's into influencers. It's into streaming, gaming, and cosplay. And I was like, what? What is that? I wasn't sure, right? And next thing I know, I just saw the rise of the brand. I saw the rise of you. I saw your Lambo. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, it's like there has to be something with this company, something very interesting. How right? And I was looking at your brand deals, like
Saw
PlayStation.
the office in
came
BGC.
They had a little bit of the BGC and all that. And I'm from Laguna. I had no business being here in QC, right? I thought that when we built a house in Laguna, my days in QC was over. But basically, I saw your post on LinkedIn, and you said that we're still looking for a head of studios department. And I was like, let's jump from this boring job to get back to something exciting, something that I felt was in my wheelhouse. I felt really strong about it because not just how we trained ABS back then, but really with the creative industry. I was a graphic designer at first, all the way brought myself up to executive creative director, and just went through the whole ranks about it. And then I was like, yeah, let's take a shot at 1,300 creators. You have Alodia, you got Trike, you got other celebrities that I felt like, oh, very, very interesting. But the difference is I never got interviewed by Trike. I just reached out to his email. I just reached out to his LinkedIn. Didn't hear anything. Someone just calls me out of the blue. And I'm like, okay, this is the same girl.
Yeah, same. She's still
girl.
with us till today.
Same girl.
Shout out to TYN.
To TYN for sure. And she goes like, oh, quick interview and all that. And I was like, okay, sure. Looked at my profile, everything. And then she sent me an offer letter. And I said it was it's really low.
That's that sexy indifference.
I was like, but I'll sign, because she only gave me 5 days to decide. And like, look, I come from a global company. I need to talk to my CEO. I need to talk to my other C-suite people, because I was leading a team from Slovenia, Prague.
But we wait for no one.
I heard. And guess what? I never got the interview with Trike. They offered me the job already. I was like, very interesting, very aggressive. But the first person who interviewed me, and I think that's a connection between all of us, is Jo. And really, I guess she learned from Trike, and she sold me the vision. I saw how you guys built. I just saw how it was very small back then, an industry that I didn't know anything about, and like fast track to like 5 years, it's like it's known Southeast Asia and all that. And so I was like, yeah, and gave it a shot. And then my first day here, I just had a quick onboarding. I was actually in La Union doing the onboarding, and on that first Monday, I just said, I'll meet with my team. Right? So I met my team, and I realized that I was the oldest person, one of the oldest person here. First time in my career that I found myself one of the oldest person here. So I met with my team, and they were all young. right? The median age back then was 31, and I was like, what, 43? So I had to fill in the gap. After that, of course, I had to meet with our commercial leader. So I met with Brian and I met with Joe.
This
And
dude paid for lunch, man. He didn't even have his salary.
that's what I wanted to flex. They were ordering, but honestly, when they go like, "Oh, where are we gonna have lunch?" They go like, "Oh, Wildflower Italian." I was like, not just kidding. But I was very glad to pay for lunch there because I'm very. My principles are a little bit older than everybody else, and I still believe that you don't pay for free lunch.
Wow.
So
That's very,
so
Yeah,
I've
I bought
learned a
you
lot
lunch,
from them.
Ganina.
Yeah, thank
So-
you.
So you owe me.
I owe you. I owe you for sure. But I gathered. I just bought into the enthusiasm of Brian, the foresight of Joanna, and also just really, you can tell from Kathy, she was like really solid operator, work hard, and all that. And so that drew me closer to Tier 1 on my first day. On my second day, then having a team, a very young team, it really challenged me because I just felt like one of the major reasons why I was considering to get out of my US job was it's just I was working 24 hours a day and really I didn't see anyone. I'd had staff that I'd meet online and all that. And for me, an opportunity to mentor people, that really, for me, I think that's the heart of what I do.
Yeah, so I guess with that being said, right, I think the most underrated aspect of building a business is really recruitment, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people don't see this. Not because you are a tier 1 entertainment and you have that name. Not because you have, like financial capability to pay people at a certain amount. It ends with that. It doesn't end with that. Because for one, we're not offering like the best salary in the market compared to the Googles and like
yeah.
the biggest, like multinational companies in the world. And another point, obviously, as a startup company, you're also trying to just build your other services that you can offer to your people. I think that's just another thing. And last but not the least, people in startups usually have to do more. Just because it's a different, like
Different base.
resource.
Yep.
It has different resources than your typical corporate companies. Because some people tend to forget that in the end, we're still starting out in a startup industry as well. Because it's not as if we are a 100-year, 50-year, like 40-year company that has, like the perfect protocols and everything like that. So I think that's such an underrated thing. And beyond that, recruitment of talents, recruitment of players, like all of these come into play in terms of how you build a company. And let's talk about teams, for instance, right? Like, this is something that I also want to share to in this podcast. Now that you've seen two other people in the team outside of Brian, right? Can you talk about your teams, right?
Oh, my
like,
teams.
Let's talk about your teams. You don't have to say like each and every one of
Oh,
them. But
alright.
what are you proud about? I guess like your teams. I know that you have a new team right now, but like maybe you guys
But
talk
he had a
about your
stronger team
teams.
back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, but you had different teams, like generally in the whole time that you were here. Like, kind of like tell us like, anything about your team.
Teams?
Your favorite, not favorite,
No, I
like your
can't do
teams.
favorite.
Yeah.
We can do favorites.
I've
man.
had
Yeah, you
so
can do
many
favorites.
You have
teams.
children, remember?
Yeah.
We have children, so no favorites,
Yeah,
right?
no
No
favorites.
favorites.
Like, we can say that.
No, but I
Your favorite story, probably.
I don't have a favorite story. I don't know.
Yeah, but what can you say about the teams that you've
okay,
led?
so like for me, because I've done like starting off, it was like partnerships, then it was talent management. I did a little bit of like we were in charge of broadcast for a while, the creatives.
Oh, wow.
So I did a little bit of everything. So like basically, if you look at the composition of Tier 1 now, probably 60% of everyone has been on my team at one point or another.
Yes.
So or maybe like 50. I don't know, something like
yeah.
that. Because like there's a lot of new people that obviously I don't work with. But I think with my teams, I've always had like I've always built a certain work culture within the teams.
That's right.
Because starting off, especially when I had no team, and then my team doubled to 2 people, it was like me and Enrique. I've always had this like kind of like open communication, and just kind of we have to share the same values in terms of
That's right.
we have to understand that we don't have the luxuries, especially that time. We didn't have the luxuries to like you only do this, you only do this, and that's all you got to worry about. We had to do, like you said, startup culture, right? So we have to wear a lot of hats. So my teams historically have been always very small compared to like I feel like the work that we did. It's we were always like more than the sum of our parts, right?
That's right.
So I think when it comes to all of my teams, and I'm not going to pinpoint any one team because I think they're all great, and in a sense they're all relatively the same. Where we are all always willing to help each other out. There's not one person. There's always one person in charge of a certain thing, right? The POC of something. But there was always like, Sige, we'll help each other out. Where, in a sense, our roles, they do kind of get muddled sometimes, but that's not because we're forcing them to do that. So I think like, I've been lucky to have really good teams. And actually a lot of the people that are with me even today have been with me through multiple teams.
Yes.
So it's not like, I'm not like always starting off brand new. But I've always been lucky to have teams that always, buy into like the way I
Yeah.
want to work.
I think that's something that I've always, like observed running Tier 1 entertainment, that every leader will have a different subculture within their teams just because they have different values and at the same time a different pace and a different way of leading a certain group. I think with Vern, I've always seen this kind of like flat environment, open communication kind of thing that really just works as a single entity. I think I've seen that, like in all of the teams that you've been. With Dex, like obviously creatives is another animal because creatives are just
No, they're not.
it's just a different species in my opinion. Because I'm a creative, I know
Hence,
that
I will use animal. I will use animal analogy.
yeah,
No,
I
just
think
kidding.
creatives are a different species altogether, in my opinion. But how's handling the creatives of Tier 1 been for you?
It's truly an honor, number one, to lead young men and women. That's really clear. But I guess if there's something I'm proud about, it's really we have a pack mentality. Still animal analogies, but just a pack mentality. It's hard to say, but the strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf. I don't just really associate the wolf to myself, but really, it really is you just have to rally them from the beginning. And I think one of my first days is my opening to my team is I just put my name and my mobile number. That's what I wrote. The first order of business when I met my whole team, I said, "This is my number."
I thought you went Justin Timberlake and removed the door.
There's
Do
no
you know this movie?
Yes, because that's my genre. But I wrote down my number and said, "Guys, you can call me anytime. I'm available. You tell me, you call me at 3 a.m. I'll answer. You call me like 10 a.m. in the morning. I'm available." And I guess that set the tone for all of us. I love that my team is very accountable to each other, and I'm accountable to them. Like they can tell me, they can speak life to me the same way they allow me to speak life to them. So that's just really my team right now. Leading a team of creatives, I guess it's not so much different with leadership, but also I think I got their buy-in because I was exactly like them. I started as a graphic designer. I was a
but
cameraman.
I think running a creative team is really different. Vern knows this because he's handled creatives and like account managers before.
I guess I was just lucky because I did have a business. I did have a business degree. I graduated economics, so I have a business aspect of my brain, and I also had a creative aspect and I'm able to let that work together. Is I think is the bonus. But in terms of creativity, as long as they know that I'm gonna work as hard as them, I'm gonna grind it as hard as them. They can trust me, I can trust them. I think it really is. It's harder to really, alam mo yun, creative people kasi they have this thing that they
they have
always
a
say,
creative ego.
yes, that's
Which
what
is
I
good.
said.
Which is good. I'm never against creative ego, but because I think creative ego is what makes them good.
Exactly.
So and then in that way, I think most of the corporate structures are never meant to organize a creative group. It always organizes a different set of people because most leaders in the corporate space aren't creatives. And that's not a knock on people. I'm just
I
saying that
agree.
it's just a different
I
perspective.
so agree.
So with that being said, I think with creatives, you can't box them. You
You
need to
can't.
give them a playground where they can play.
Yes,
You need to give them a
exactly.
kitchen where they can cook. You can't, like
No,
constrict
think about
them.
that, right? You
Yeah.
think about letting them play, and also the difference between generations, totally different.
Yes.
Back then, in agency days of mine, I had people I can look up to that can lead me. I can like, hey, these guys are, I get to see.
Yeah,
And
that's generally the difference between designers and artists, right?
Yes.
yeah,
So there's a key difference there. Designers tend to work on a deadline and so on.
Yes.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
but I guess like that's what I'm also really proud about when it comes to tier one. I feel like the reason why we resonate to a lot of the creatives in the space, because honestly, I think the creative talent pool is the highest. Is the talent pool that has the most interest in joining tier one.
You're being too
a lo-
nice, Trey.
Yeah, no, no,
Thank
no, 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 because we have a lot of people in the outside of tier one who wants to work with us on the creative side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
Maybe because of the output that we have, because we have a lot of like brilliant creatives in the room, like from the logos to the videos and all of the output that we have. I think people tend to resonate to that
I
because
want to
they
pick
want
up
to
something what Brian mentioned. Like, sorry to cut you off.
designer artist.
He always he said it to one of our clients before. I think with tier one, we're not afraid to fail. We're not afraid to try it out. We could be first, and of course, at the end of the day, if we ever don't do it right, we fail fast, right? And so I want to pick up from there. And I think why a lot of creatives resonate or like get attracted with tier ones because we're not afraid to try something new. We're not afraid to like punch in the number. And it's cultivating that culture inside tier one is what makes it great. It's not perfect, diba? People were like, oh, ano ba to?
No, but even at face value, you look at the branding pala.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
would,
yeah.
I mean, if you were creative, you would like to join this aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like,
Actually, I
Not
tell
all
that's
black.
all-
For,
no, but
but
what I'm
blackout
saying.
isn't all black
It's not all
anymore.
black.
that's right. That's right.
No, what I'm saying is like when it goes back to the perception of the company looking big from the outside looking.
That's
tiny.
right. That's
you know,
right.
what I mean? All of that is kind of designed. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
from the
perception.
interior to
Yeah.
the jerseys to the logo to the feel of everything. I think it's really about consistency and creativity.
But also that, right? No, in fairness to you and the leadership, you guys were very purposeful with brand.
No,
I think
because
that's
it's
important.
it's the biggest thing that I care about. I've told like Brian this, like most of the times that I get frustrated in the company is usually like number one is creative.
Yes, I
And
have
then-
big ears to take it.
Yeah. I think number one is creative, and for the most part, second is really like on the creator side. Honestly, not never revenues. Revenues, I feel like it's such an objective conversation. Just yesterday we had this, right? Like it was so, like I was really unhappy with one of our posts yesterday, and I don't think a lot of people hear it from me more than Dex. I feel like.
I'm old enough, Trike. I can take it, right?
Dex and Vern, because now like with all the stories and stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
imagine how long we've spent in the announcement of Blacklist, right? Like that's kind of like the thing. Just because I feel like we can like the brand is everything. Like it's the way people perceive
Oh,
who we are and what we are.
Exactly.
And you took care. You really took
And,
good care
and
of
it,
that.
it withstand a lot of the issues that we have
yeah.
internally. I
Yes.
mean, because of our brand. I can attribute that a lot because of our brand.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
really taking care of like the brand because of all of the people who have contributed to it. I mean, it's not really me, it's not really Dex. I think it's everyone who contributed
course.
to it.
It's a
right?
combination of everything.
Yeah.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, I couldn't do my job without people like Brian and Vern and even finance, HR. I mean, HR is a blessing to us. It's because we get to talk about just life in general and how just this whole 360 of what we do on a daily basis.
I
So,
think it's also generally what we value in this company, right? Like if you look at obviously revenues are what pay the bills, but you see small conversations like if we do this, we'll look good. if you do this, will look good. If imagine if we work with Palmolive, for instance, this looks strong. Like everybody's kind of like aligned on the thought of we always need to look and operate in a top tier way. I think
I
that's
guess
that's
so.
key
I guess so.
because if leadership and the culture doesn't look for stuff like that, then we won't, like find the pieces to make it look bigger than what it is, or generally like it being kind of like a lifestyle generally for people.
Yeah, and that's what I think people don't normally understand. Like even in other startups, how important the branding is.
That's right.
From the optics perspective, right? And because again, you're battling a valuation,
Yes.
right? So I do agree. Like even down to the people that work on this space,
Yes.
making sure it's clean, understands how important this is to us. So I do agree with that.
Yeah, I think like what we've built, though a lot of people always look at it as a finished product. The reality is it's not. It's not.
finished.
We're
No.
building the plane as
not.
we go.
Yeah.
It's not a finished product, right? Like there was this conversation about the NBA, like requiring 30 years for it to get to where it is.
Yeah.
And as much as we've been here 6 years, like we're not a finished product, and I think that's also something that motivates me to speak more about what we do in the internet in this day and age. Just because whenever people talk about there are delays in salaries, or like delay in payments, or like these problems like this, right? Like I'm like, you don't understand the reasoning behind it from an industry perspective that we're trying to change. We've talked about this, right? I'm not gonna dive into this too much, but obviously we're dealing with the advertising agency and the advertising market, which pays you 60 to 90 days, and then it's the only time you get the collections, and after the collection that's the time that you pay off like people. I mean, if we haven't paid people for 6 years we've been here, like we wouldn't have the same reputation. Obviously there have been delays, but it's a byproduct of the delays of the payments in the industry. I think that's just the reality. I mean, that's just one hand. On another note, like there will be some issues that are thrown at us, like in the future and it's gonna be multiple things. But I think a company will inevitably have problems
That's right.
because you're trying to build, right?
Yes.
When you're trying to build something big, there will always be challenges and difficulties that you'll have to face. And you can't be afraid of people sharing problems about you, because if there are no problems, then maybe you're not doing something significant.
That's right.
Right?
Also, you mentioned
if you're
before.
doing something that's easy, then you won't have problems. But if you're doing something difficult, there will be problems. That's just normal.
You always tell me about Dex. Our market's not just the Philippines, it's Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Your market, your branding, whatever you do with your team really reflects not just in the Philippines, it's Southeast Asia. And that really just resonated to me. That makes me want to stay longer and just really grind it out with the team. And yeah, it starts really with a vision of being part of something so much bigger than yourself, so much bigger than whatever you're used to. Because I work with big companies and they're always just local. You always remind me of this na kaya Blacklist International. Diba? We look at outside of the Philippines.
Yes.
And that really brings out the 300 in me, man. Rahu.
No, because that's true, right? Like, I think one of the reasons why Tier 1 became what it is in the in the few years of its operations is because we had international clients and people were looking at us from a global level. Imagine just being part of the World Cup, right?
That's right.
There were like 30 organizations that were part of it, and one of them was us, and we are the only one in Southeast Asia. Outside of Talon, if you treat Talon as Southeast Asia, if you see Hong Kong as Southeast Asia. But if not, like we were the only one. And that's not an easy, achievement to have. And a lot of people will always talk about, this is just a Philippine company, or this is an international company. I don't even see it that way. The way I see it is, after the internet, the world is already flat. Right? If you're gonna only operate or look into the Philippines, then you are limiting yourself. Because what the internet allowed us is to be connected to anyone in the world, to share our story to anyone in the world, whether it's in LinkedIn, Twitter, or whatnot. So I'm never gonna put a limitation geographically to us just because we're here.
Yeah.
Right.
We no longer have borders.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's good to be reminded about that.
Because most of the people here,
Because most of the people work here. We face the Philippine problem. We face Philippine politics and all that. And when you remind them, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be political,
yeah,
but
yeah, no problem.
but when you remind
yeah, Vern
them
just
that-
got his drink just because you mentioned politics.
I don't do politics.
Because I mean, what's it like for you coming from the States, going to the Philippines, and
I mean, it sucks everywhere. So everywhere has its problems. Actually, it was funny because someone asked me, "Do you ever want to go back?" I was like, "No, the U.S. kind of sucks." And they're like, "Yeah, don't come back. It kind of sucks right now." But anyways, sorry.
But yeah. It just really, you just remind us, and I just have to whatever says on top. It's my role. It's my job to keep my team excited and say, hey, we're doing so much bigger. I've been to Riyadh, and guess what? We had a mob there.
Yeah.
We had a posse of 60 people whom we just met right there, right? Following us wherever we go, asking for pictures. And I'm like, guys, take pictures of everybody. Don't have pictures with me. And they ask me for my picture. And it's like, what's going on, Trike? I didn't sign up for this, Trike. I say behind the scenes, right? So, yeah.
Isn't that funny when that happens? The same
wild,
thing
bro.
happened to me when we... Remember that Web3 event that we
Yes,
sponsored?
yes.
Somebody asked for a picture of me and Silo. I was like, this never happens to me.
It's
man.
wild, bro.
The many times that I was featured in Alodia's and Trike's vlogs, it never happened to me where I got a picture outside. But that time in Silo... people took a picture with me. I was
Exactly.
like, what, me?
Actually, you know what's funny? I did get my picture taken one time.
Uh-huh.
I was a guest speaker at I forget what event, and then someone came up to me and asked like, "Oh, is Trike gonna speak today?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's just me." And she asked, "Okay, can I just take a picture with you?" instead?" I was like, "Okay." So they were looking for
That's
you,
the
but
optics,
I
dude.
was
That's the optics we're talking
I
about.
got a little
man.
bit of that the residue of Trike's glitter. All right, you'll do. Come on and get it. Tagged me and everything on my IG. But
I get this a lot also, right? People taking pictures, which I don't mind. But this is the most probably embarrassing story for me. So because I got used to it a bit, when people ask pictures of me, there's this one time, I think we were in Riyadh, and then someone asked me, "Can I take a picture, sir?" So I took the cell phone because that's what I usually do, and I was about to take a selfie for both of us, and then he was like, "No, take a picture of our family."
I knew they was coming. All I can say is, I'm
so
glad I'm not there because I would have come in and say, Trike, no, Trike, give me the phone.
I felt this small. I felt this small as a person.
I'm famous in the Philippines. You didn't even know that.
No. Because everybody was taking pictures left and right,
Yeah.
and then there was this we walked, and then there was this kid, and it was like, yeah, take a picture. And then I was about to take a selfie, of our family, sir. Okay, and then I took a picture,
but I
and then
get
I
it.
walked out, and it was
That's
just
so
so
funny.
embarrassed.
That's
I
I
was
get
so
it why
embarrassed.
you would just automatically default.
Because everybody was like that. They, for a short time. So
Yeah.
So,
No,
that's why this time. That's why after that, whenever someone asks me for a picture, I always say, "With me." With me, or you want to take a picture of you?
Actually, Trike, last time we hung out, we were in BGC, diba? We were walking around. I think you got stopped 4 times. Every time we're walking around, just, another picture. Just got to step back.
No, it's because I mean I think it's just I mean I don't know. I think it just maybe everything that I do probably just resonates to me, but I never think of it as me. I think of it as more of a tier 1 thing because
Yeah.
I think even for people who just wear blacklist jerseys or tier 1 stuff, they really get people to take pictures with them.
Yeah.
Trike,
It's kind of
it's
like a
really
thing.
you, Trike, because half of my wardrobe is black already.
No.
No, actually,
But
that is true.
just
That is
kidding.
true. There was one time I was picking up delivery and I was wearing a blacklist
Oy.
jersey. And then the guy who was delivering, he's like, "Oh, do you know Blacklist?" I was like, "Yeah, I know Blacklist." and they started talking about you.
Car
Talking
wash.
about you.
Yeah, I'm in the car wash. I'm in the 20. I'm in 7-Eleven and all. I'm sorry to 7-Eleven, baka naman. But yeah, I mean, and they shout, "Boss Dex, Boss Strike, Boss Alodia," and all that. And it's just,
They know you na.
No, because I had the IGN at my back. That's the only thing.
Okay.
But no,
So you
no.
told them what
Yeah.
to say. And
But I think it's never about we're proud of our popularity. More about it's a communal thing.
I think we did something
Like
to
I think
them.
it's more of a of the gaming community resonating to the company that tried to change the perception of what gaming is. Because
Yeah.
if you remember what gamers were perceived way back in 2017,
2017.
like I personally have not been with my friends for X years because they were so angry at me for gaming. Like yeah, a lot of my college friends who I went out with, drunk, partied and stuff. Once I started playing Dota and played games, they're like, and they don't. I don't want to be with you anymore. You know, like so. I felt that personally. So in a way, like after all this, like I think it feels like a redemption to a lot of gamers.
I come
feel
from a very different generation, Try.
yeah, so I think that exists. I mean, for now, like I don't think we have all the time in the world. I had so much fun, you know. Like I think just discussing stuff, just being, you know, like honest and straightforward about this. Like, did you guys enjoy it ba so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird.
Should have more of this, man.
Yes, I think so too. I think so too.
It's
you know?
weird for me, but we
Dex
should.
talked a lot, dude. Like I've never seen Dex
Oh
talk
my god!
this much.
No, but we talk a lot. We talk a lot. We really talk a lot. Like,
I hear a lot now.
you know what's weird? Because I'm a communication student, I really understand how to adjust because my professor always tells me the medium is the message. I mean, she never said it that way, but you know, like, but because of that, I
She
always
from Hogwarts?
No. Because of that, it's like I always try to adjust my language to people, right? And with Dex, and I think it's unfair to say this to him right now, pero I know that his language is really like telling him about the wrong things because his generation is that. So whenever I talk to him, I always point out like, these are not, because I know that's what works with him.
Right.
Yeah, but with millennials, you do it like that, they're gonna be offended. They're gonna be like,
There's a little bit.
yeah, there's gonna be very different. So I'm just that with Dex because I know that's the language that works with him, but I'm never really angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to increase my tone because in a way that works with him.
Yeah,
I don't know
you
if he
what,
notices
that's actually
that.
a pretty interesting topic that we might want to get into if we ever do this again. Like how, like our company has like so many different generations.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Oh
right.
my.
You know what I mean? Like
Oh
we all
my.
come from different.
Oh my!
No,
bro.
I think with
It's
this
so interesting.
With this, right? Like I think we can touch this topic and then eventually like end. I can say this. Again, people only see tier 1 as just me, Alodia before, right? And VYs and all of these other popular, you know, like creators and players. But I'm really, really proud of the team that we've built here in every year that tier 1 existed just because one, the discourse. Like I think this is a company where any person can just speak their mind.
That's right.
And that input can be something that can happen. I think that's one, right? Like second is like we always
I think
have
we've evolved towards that.
yes. Maybe we weren't that
we
before.
weren't that before. Like I would say, like, but especially me, because I had a lot of coaching from you and a lot of other people here. Because you know, I tend to kind of railroad a lot of things before, because I felt that we didn't have the right habits then. You know what I mean? Like
That's why you enforced the habits.
I was an enforcer before. You know what I mean? And
Was that
we
what they
got to
called
that
it?
now. We got to a place now where it's kind of it's better for everybody to kind of speak their mind. But we had a lot of growing up to do. Like in between that
It needs
time.
to be a balance. Eh.
Yeah.
It needs to be a balance of like you like the team that you are with, but at the same time you need to have a certain enforcement to on the compliance side.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's always
The
culture,
habits.
compliance, competence now, right?
Right.
Like
But also
compli-
for me, I had
Yeah.
to unlearn a lot of things.
like what?
I had to like, not everything has to be beautiful, like super duper beautiful, because at the end of the day, we have to get attention, people's attention. I had to like unlearn leadership a little bit because I come from a different generation. And
Like a
you've
top
given-
to bottom approach
Exactly.
as usual.
I'm the same way, man. Like I remember, like one of the I'm so embarrassed by this story because I think sometime last year I drank with the talent ops team. So
Uh-huh.
Jabba messaged me. They were in the south, so it was him, Bea, or they were there for Bea's birthday or something like that.
Mhm.
And we drank in in Westgate, and then they invited me to drink with them. And then Vanessa tells me the story from Talent Ops. She was like, her first day, JM was there. I think we didn't. JM, do you remember this? when I got mad at Vanessa on her very first day about a talent not appearing for our show in Amplify. and she told me this story. She was like, Bray, do you remember this? Like, you got mad at me on my very, very first day. Like, I wasn't even onboarded yet because the talent was late at a shoot or something like that. I was like, really? Really? Because I don't remember that now. Like, knowing, I mean, I'm sure you've seen me change also.
Yes, yes.
Like,
Yeah, of course, of
like,
course.
With that now, like, I don't hear myself yelling at
No,
somebody.
because this is the reality, right? And I think this is the perfect time to talk about Banubs.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people were really were not supportive of the move.
But I love Banu.
Yeah,
What are you guys
here's the
talking
thing.
about?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. No, but here's what I want to say, right? Like, this is what people understand. You don't recruit people for who they are purely. You recruit people for who they can be. I think this is key because there's never an ever finished product of a person because every person will just develop to what they can be, right? So I think malleability is always key in identifying the right person.
Yeah.
Because the right person is only the right person during that moment. When times change, the environment changes, I think it's key that they should be able to adapt, right? And I think with that being said, when Banubs came in and brought in all of the internet-related stuff that he did, I think it's because he got used to the way he does things before in his previous company, where he has to carry the branding, he has to be noisy about what he does because that's what gets attention. And that attention turns into monetization. But with Tier 1, the attention was already there. So when he puts out content the same way that he does it with the old, like team,
Where it's very clickbaity.
it becomes very misunderstood. So I never spoke about this in other platforms, but where I'm going with this is that whoever comes into Tier 1 in day one will always be different as a human being and as a professional after 15 to 30 days. There might be some aspect in terms of unlearning. There might be some aspect in terms of learning. But the thing is, for you to be a team, you need to mold into a different person. It can't be just what you are used to because this is a different culture in itself, right? So I talked about this with my former, team that started Tier 1. And the example was this. You look at the Philippines, right? And the culture isn't really great everywhere. Like there's a lot of negative cultures. People look into the negative things. They just don't think as much in terms of the depth of things. They just complain. All of these things really exist in the Philippines. But if you look at the bubbles that exist in the academic institutions, why are there different subcultures within the schools that exist outside of the Philippine culture? So the output and the thinking was
That's very interesting.
you need to be able to create a cultural bubble within Tier 1 entertainment that thinks differently, not just even outside the Philippines, but outside of the world. Because once you create that bubble of a culture, then you become truly one as a group, right? So I think that's where company values come in. That's where subcultures of leaders come in, and I think that's key. Because if we get stuck in where we live and where we are and what we're used to, then we're never gonna improve. And to that note, right? I think before we end, we're now bringing in for example JBR, who is French in Hong Kong, now bringing in a new culture with us because I think from time and time again, from 2017 to 2018, new people came, we evolved into this. 2018 to 2020, new people came, we evolved into this. And from 2020 to 2024, I think we always evolve because I think evolution comes from a point of new people coming in because they add a different input, they add a different culture altogether. So when JB came in last week, French guy, 15 years in Hong Kong.
He's on the ball, man.
Yeah, I just want to say, right, how was that? How did that impact you before we end?
Me, I think because I'm kind of one of the first ones, right, that met him. It reminded me a lot of the type of leadership I was used to back in my former companies, where it was quick and pragmatic and it was very straightforward. I do think that right now I believe we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to building our chemistry with him, because like you said, Dex, there's a lot of unlearning that needs to get done. And we were just texting about that last night. Na parang, I hope he doesn't get tired of us. You know what I mean? Like, because there's obviously gonna be a learning curve here, and what I mentioned earlier about the different generations that exist in tier 1.
Yeah.
Within that also exists experience gap.
That's
So
right.
the struggle might be where there's a certain form of communication that's being leveled here that might not trickle down here, right? Because those are one of the things that particularly I see that is a struggle with a lot of other companies, especially in their scale up phase, where there's certainly new people that come in who have this level of experience and it doesn't trickle down. But so far, at least with my team, to touch on a little bit about how we grew the team in commercial and that's the many turnovers that we've had, I think it's just about, it's not about adoption. It's just about, I think, learning to keep up with the pace and then eventually comprehension will come. It's just about, you know what I mean? Because you just have to act the way, to think differently. You have to act first, right? You act your way into thinking differently. So I think that's really where we need to be. In fact, I think Trike, you received a lot of heat from him.
Yes.
When we were on the,
I always like I welcome audit. You know this.
Yep.
But yeah, like it was
on
the most
the physical side.
It was the most day I've been audited for like nutrition. Like it was
Jesus, man, like-
really like heavy on my lifestyle and my nutrition.
I was sitting in the front and I was sweating, man. Like for Kike, and it wasn't even pointed at me yet. The gun wasn't pointed at me yet. I think I'll come next.
Yeah, but I love it. But I love it just because like I always try to improve as a person too. I want to listen. I want to learn from people. I think you've seen this with me, naman. I'm not really against any like feedback in any way. I will try to obviously like defend myself in the things that I don't agree with and the things I don't want to change in terms of like who I am. But for improvement points on things that I can, I'm always open. But he was very, he was really pressing a point on my lifestyle and my nutrition because I should track my own what's this? The
Biometrics.
biometric, my personal
Biometrics.
biometrics because I'm growing old and this is stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe it's a part of me that doesn't accept that I'm getting older. Maybe it's that.
You'll get there, Trike. Don't worry. Everyone gets there.
He talked about that ring you're wearing.
Yeah, it's about the ring. It's
exactly.
it's about the wrist and like exercise. Well, I for one I listened, and second, this week I played badminton. I went to the gym. So yeah, I listen is what I can say. Before we end, right? I think one thing to end everything with JB. What can you say?
I mean, ours was really short. We only had 30 minutes because we had that
Yeah.
that shoot. But like he covered a lot. Like in those 30 minutes, like we met with the team and he was talking about, you guys should be doing this and this and this.
I love
And then
JB.
in my head I was like, shit, I thought we were doing a lot. There's a lot more we got to do. And like it made sense. We're like, yeah, we should be
And
doing
everybody
that.
was reinvigorated.
Yeah,
right?
we should be doing that. So it was only 30 minutes. I'm just glad he didn't get to like my nutrition.
Bro, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, because he's an athlete. So
The months after this would be there's going to be a lot of discomfort. I'm telling you the truth, bro. Like he'll put us through our paces.
Yeah. But the discomfort is required in growth.
That's
Yes.
true. I
Yeah,
agree.
You
That's
will
right.
never grow without discomfort.
Exactly.
Like I think if you listen to what we were when Vern came in, to eventually what we were when you came in, to what we became when you came in, and now JB coming in, it's just more of like trying to let people understand, because for people sometimes they touch tier 1 in different phases of its growth.
Yeah,
Yes.
And they all feel like we're still that company.
Yes.
But not
I think the
anymore.
optics outside.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like
But
we're-
not anymore.
not
Like
anymore.
we're a
We-
different company
totally
today
changed.
from what we were before.
That's right.
I mean, we still have problems, but those problems we're willing to fix. We're collectively fixing, and like in the end, we're now entering into a new world of like what tier one could be, right? So how
Yeah.
about you? Like last before.
Well, I
the
just
end?
said I love JB. He hit the ground running. He gave he gave us like an hour and a half because he just really felt like
He wanted to touch the creative side.
yeah. He really because he felt like um, our work matters. That's important for any creative to hear and how we play an integral part of the business. And I just felt that everything I said in the past 2 years just got overweighted with what JBR was inspiring my people and telling me. And plus, the guy has blue eyes. What can I do? And like,
I mean, he's also like he's a very charismatic leader. And
Yes,
a very
yes,
charismatic
yes,
leader.
yes.
The guy has blue eyes also.
Yes,
And so
yes.
all my women producers were like, oh. So, but
You know
yeah.
what I'll take from that though is that I think just going back to the top where we started off with like the Trike's, people tend to think that Trike does this company
Yeah.
or decides this for this company unilaterally. Like throughout the journey, what I've seen so far in the past 5 years is when I came in, I kind of wore that hat to be the enforcer, and then you protected me a lot in that. Like I would remember every.
So I was supportive of your enforcement.
Yes, and you kind of like you were every Christmas party, every town hall you did was like I hope you guys understand what Brian's trying to do and everything. Like you're trying to contextualize everything, and now I think we now have that new leader that would take it a bit further than in every cycle of the company we've had those kind of different generations of leaders that
It was Ma'am Joanne. It eventually became
Yeah.
you.
Josh also
Yeah,
different.
and then
Galing
Dex
din.
came
Yeah.
in, and eventually
galing din.
now we have like Ella from
Exactly.
HR,
Yeah.
Jabba. Now you have like JB.
So just so you know, what you guys are inventing that Trike is everything that he says he is. It's just all. It's not like that.
no,
inside
no,
here.
no, because I always tell this to a lot of people, and people ask me like, why are you so kind to people? Like people ask me this. I mean, it's because I really believe that for one, kindness is the best currency. But at the same time, vision is the second most important thing because kindness is not enough. You need for
Yeah.
people to see your ambition and the vision that you have because when you share your vision to people and they see that that's the future that they want, that's what resonates.
Yeah.
That's what gets them to join you. But kindness is what makes them stay.
Yeah.
And for me kasi, having them stay, because I believe in the thought process of, like kindness breeds sustainability. Sustainability brings,
Continuity.
continuity, and continuity breeds innovation. Because without continuity, there is no innovation, in
That's
my
right.
opinion. So,
That's
that's
right.
I always say this to you, diba?
Yep.
So that's why, like, I think kindness is a key part of leadership, and as I've always applied it. But on that note, right, like, I think the vision of Tier 1 is already beyond me. Way, way back, not just now. And
Yeah.
I think it's me now in the internet trying to share with you my side as a CEO because also before, I've always kind of like projected an influencer look of me because that's what connects.
Yeah.
So as an organizational communication student, I was thinking I should be like this so that people understand who I am. But I guess the problem was I never really shared the CEO side of me to them. So, like hopefully with this platform, I really get to share my thinking as a CEO beyond the influencer persona that I've projected in the past years.
But also, Trike, you protected us also.
From what?
You protected us from what everything is going on. You took a lot of bullets for us. And I guess
Last week, yes.
yeah, a lot of bullets for us. But I in your platform, I just want to say thank you because and now that you have a team that's going to rally for you and it's going to fight for you and who believes in the vision that you have. But all these years, you just really wanted to protect. You put us first.
Actually, I really appreciated. So here's my thing. I mean, I kind of like feel like I have a messiah, like complex. So I always feel like I want to save people and I never really want to ask for help. But I really appreciated how Brian came out in the internet to talk about us with Wolf. Because it was the first time I felt that it wasn't just me, like receiving all the criticisms. I mean, I don't mind. I really don't mind because I signed up for it.
You
Right.
always say that. You
But
always
I
say
signed
that.
up for you when you
signed up
talked to me, right? When you talked to me about that, I told you I was appearing on Wolves.
Yeah.
I told you that this shit is unfair, man. Like, this fucking shit is unfair. Because, to be honest, like, all of those reasons, we all had our own accountabilities,
Yeah,
right? I mean, but also it's just the business decision. It is what it is. And it's just unfair to paint it as this guy just decided to leave the scene or whatever the fuck they were trying to do.
Dude.
It was just unfair. That's the first thing I told you.
Because this is the reality of it, right? And I think Adam said this. Adam was like, you know what's weird about Tier 1? You're like the most public private company in the Philippines. Like, why do you even have to explain to people a business decision? Why does someone leaving your company matters to people? Are they invested in a retail way? Or, like, why? Why does this matter? And he's like, you know what? Maybe you can go IPO someday. And now they're truly invested. And now all of these things that you do now really matter.
It'll appear in the shareholder report.
Yeah. Because it gets to a point where like they're even asking for our P&L.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get to that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but that's so true. That's so true. Like, why are
so
people
weird.
obliging us to share what we think and how we think? Because, but maybe because. On another note, because they're really invested in our stories. They're really invested in the people that are part of our teams. And to me, I always take it from a positive standpoint naman. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this, right? Like, I've gotten to a point of my career where like I have a 6-year track record of like running this company. And for all the challenges and everything that it faced, I've been here and I've been doing what I can so that we can achieve that vision, right? Like achieving a vision that's low, it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably have achieved some of the things that we wanted already. But why are we still pushing forward? It's because I feel like we can do so much more. We can help so many more people. We can support more people. And, like a lot of people have benefited from this. And the culture that we have is always, is something that I always appreciate. And that's why I'm always like fighting day in and day out to do this. But I think what I'm trying to say here is simple. If you look at what we've done in the past and what we can do in the future, right? If you truly care about Tier 1, then be like Rada. You throw out a comment on YouTube. I ask you for an interview. He joins us and helped us get to a world championship. Because comments are just comments. But the question is, what are your solutions? Right? You can throw out all the problems that we have, but we might not even read it or care about it. But if you have solutions, then we're not just listening. We're actually willing to bring you. We're even willing to bring you in. So hopefully, like after this podcast, if you have solutions to our problems, then do comment below. I might hire you and have you join us.
And implement it.
And implement it. No, because that's a reality.
Put some skin in the game.
Because a lot of people can just say this, and are the problems. The thing is, I always tell this to a lot of people. A terrorist who can bomb a certain place could be really popular, but someone who, gets the terrorist and brings them in prison will not be. That's the problem of this world. Sometimes just pointing out the wrong things and just creating distractions get more noise than people who solve real problems.
100%.
Diba? And I'm that's why I don't mind to be the villain. And Pao Sepagan, who just came into our team like 3 months back, told me, this is gonna be your villain era. And to me, I don't mind if I become a villain for the reason that I think shouldn't even be an argument, then I don't freaking mind. I mean, we sold a team because it was bought for a higher price in a space that basically it doesn't
It's
have
not
any
growing.
sure. Like there's no sure thing eh. Kasi
Exactly.
the future is the future. People can project 10x or 20x for ML. But the future is the future. There's no realization up until you truly liquidate.
And we're just not on that timeline. We're a VC-backed company. We're just not on that 10-year timeline.
Yeah, and
We want to grow fast.
yeah, we
man.
want to grow fast. We want to liquidate like real gains and stuff. And I think those are just the real reasons for it. And people might be emotional about it and stuff. But like to me, I am emotional too, but I can't be not objective about the decisions we make. And
there are
I
mouths
can't,
here to feed, man.
yeah, and I can't decide without consulting the people around me, and it's just not my decision. There's a board approval and
Yep.
and a certain process that I need to go through. It's not just me.
But you know what? Let's crowdfund it. 50 pesos among the 1.8 million followers of Blacklist.
Yeah, and we
That'll
go back
get
to the
us-
MPL.
That gets us to 90 million. So in 50 pesos, your 50 pesos will go a long way.
Yeah, yeah. I guess on that note, maybe we end with this, right? Like, if there's one thing that you want to share as a sentiment to people that they might not know about Tier 1, what would it be? And maybe that's it. Maybe we start with Vern.
A sentiment to the people.
Yeah, I'm making you a politician now, Vern.
No, I don't want to be a politician. I'm the guy on the side in the background. Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's just with this what we're doing right here. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that no one knows about, and they're just as important as the next person. Dex, Bri here. We're just a handful of them. There's still more people who do make decisions outside. And if I was gonna have a final try, if this is your villain era, I just want to say,
What?
I'll stand by you throughout the whole thing, watching you take all the strays, and then planning your next move.
Exactly, right? I was there like, stop the bullets, like, enough. No, but yeah.
No, because I took it because for me, if I'm gonna be a villain for the things I truly believe in and for a business decision that's just objectively right, why will I not speak? Why will I stop?
That's funny.
See, that's Trike, and then we'll talk after that what I think he should do. So we don't always agree, but we always come to a solution.
We'll work on the branding after.
That's why I'm here. We
That's
need
right.
that push and pull. He sees it one way, I see it too, but this is the way I see it.
But the
too.
thing is, I would concede to your thinking.
That's
in terms of the branding.
Oh,
But
yeah,
me
yeah.
as a person,
Yeah, you're a little
I'm
bit.
just as a person.
I'm chiseling away a little bit.
but as a person, I can't. I'm just myself. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, well, look, I think I've said it all in the podcast with Wolf. Appreciate that that time that was given to us or to me for that opportunity. I think, look, there's a lot more things that are on offer with Tier 1. What you guys don't know on the back end is there are a lot of people here who aren't actually about the popularity of the brand. They just came here because they are very good at their jobs. They actually didn't know. Some of them didn't actually know Tier 1. We hired them because they're very good at one specific task.
They came from Shangri-La.
Correct.
They came from an agency.
Yes,
they came from.
They don't care about the fandom. They don't read all your comments and all of the stuff that you guys post online about us. They're just here for a job. So I hope you guys understand that. Some of us simply don't care. So there are just people here that care more about getting things done and feeding their families.
How about you, Dex?
What was the... No, just kidding.
What does the in terms of the people outside, what do they don't know about Tier 1 that you can share before we end?
It's just really... It's a lot of hard work. You have people here who put in time away from family, time away from loved ones, because we all want the same thing. We want a Filipino company really go global.
A Southeast Asian company.
Southeast Asia, well, a Filipino first, Southeast Asia next, but we really want to go global. And it's only a handful of companies that can do that. And instead of telling us what to do, come in. Take Trike in his offer to
comment
reach
below.
out, diba?
Comment
Take out
below.
because at the end of the day,
We're looking for adults.
kasi maybe it's your idea that's gonna catapult us. But the worst thing is that you say something and you don't do anything after all. So I think that's what we can say here. That what I see going na. It really is, you feel people are really pulling the ropes together for a much bigger cause than all the fandom that you were saying.
And we're doing the best we can. We
Yes.
might not be the best people.
Yeah.
We don't pretend to be the smartest people in the room. All of us have various experiences. But we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, and I think like for me, before we end, right? Like I just want to say that I've tried to be as transparent as possible, like as a CEO, because I know that I signed up for it. But there's always a limit to that transparency because I can't share everything because it's also not fair. Like to all of our internal stakeholders, and I don't think we're obliged to do it anyway.
That's right.
But the reason why I do it is because I want you guys to see at least just our perspective. Because life is about perspectives. I mean, I'm an organizational communication student. I've said this like multiple times. And given that it's a communication, like background, I've seen literature evolve from a hero villain story to it becoming Game of Thrones, of showing people that it's not about heroes and villains. It's just about perspectives. Like this house represents this values, this, like house represents X values. And what we saw in that literature piece is that sometimes it's easier to romanticize heroes and villains because it's what people understand
that's
easily.
right.
But if you think about it thoroughly, right? What are villains and heroes? They're really just representing something that they believe in that is just contrary to another entity or another group. What I'm saying is that out of all the propaganda that came out in the past 50 years, I think it's going to change in the next 50 years because people will then understand through social media that people just have different perspectives and they're just fighting for different angles. And I think there's going to be a world where that level of discourse might be controversial, but in the end, the discourse is what's important because it
Right.
helps us improve, right? So I guess this is my era of really voicing out what I really, really believe in is that, and it's that Tier 1 is not about me, nor it's about its products, but it really is about what it can be. Because the way I see it as a gamer is every time you play a game and you start at level 1, how many hours does it require for you to get to level 100? This company is already in level 50. We can get to 100 in a shorter time than if I were to do it again. If I stop this, quit, and probably like raise funds to start another company, I would probably find, like X millions of dollars from investors who believed and seen my operational capability. But I don't do it because I believe that we're already not in the middle, but at least have gotten far using this platform. So with that being said, from my perspective, it's about where we are in terms of learning, positioning, everything. It's what we have in terms of the teams that are still here, what we've built in terms of branding and, like historical success, and what we can be down the line are the reasons why I'm still here. Because people sometimes think that I don't have an option. This is not my family business. I can be doing other things. Yeah, I could just be an influencer and just earn from vlogs, honestly. Like Doggy does that. I could have just clickbaited my hell out of like gaming and I've earned more than what I've earned here. But the thing is, I really believe that leadership is scalable because leadership brings in people which will add different mindset skill sets and will collectively build things that not a single individual can make. And we've seen empires, like rise and fall, but in the root of it all, empires were built through leadership. And that's why I want to build this empire of Tier 1 Entertainment, not just through me, but by identifying other leaders who will become emperors in their own realms, in a way, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's just how I see things. And I'm really happy that JB came in. Like, you'll probably like see him in the next days. But for me, this time around, I would rally behind him as well. Like, I'm not the all-time leader of it all. I would probably treat him as a leader in this next phase of our company as well.
Agreed.
And, like I would be the follower this time around, even if I'm the CEO. So I'm happy for that next step of Tier 1. And, like hopefully you learned a thing or two of who we are as a company, who my leaders are around me, and who I am outside of the influencer persona that I've projected. So that's it. Thank you for the wine. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
times.
guys.
And yeah, like,
Thank you for
salud.
the water.
Salud.